Welcome to the Harness Racing Museum and Hall of Fame, an extensive showcase of the history of this great American-born sport featuring harness racing at its best. And now, let's start the tour. Located in the historic village of Goshen, New York, just 60 miles north of New York City and easily accessible by public transportation, the Harness Racing Museum has been preserving and celebrating the sport since 1951. Goshen is also home to the oldest active harness track in the United States. Established in 1838, Goshen Historic Track is a National Historic Landmark, the first sporting site of any kind to receive this honor. With this backdrop and a 1913 Tudor-style stable bordering the track on Goshen's Main Street to call home, it is the perfect place for the only national museum dedicated to the history of harness racing and the Standardbred horse. As collections and museum services have expanded, so has the museum, and following a number of extensive renovations, we see it as it stands today, a stage for the presentation and celebration of harness racing. Leading the way to the front doors is harness racing's own Walk of Fame, an area where museum supporters may sponsor a brick or paver in recognition of their favorite horse, person, or memorable event. Make your way through the museum's front doors and you can bet you will have a great time. Through the turnstiles, the first stop is the Introductory Theater. Here, a fun and informative short film provides a glimpse of the sport. Just a taste to get you in the mood to learn more about the world of the Standardbred and the sport of harness racing. Watch for the teenage boy featured in the film, who prophetically grew up to be the leading dash-winning driver in 2011, and the featured trainer, who is none other than 2012 Trainer of the Year, Linda Toscano. Once the movie is finished, enter the historic timeline through the original Tudor stable and imagine the generations of horses who called it home until 1950, when its transformation into the Hall of Fame began. Each stall tells a story and displays artifacts going back to the sport's early beginnings. Check out the bridle worn by the Standardbred Foundation sire Hambletonian 10, the high-wheeled sulky raced by Goldsmith Maid, the winningest Standardbred of all time, the sleigh drawn by the great pacer Dan Patch, and shoes worn by champion trotter Nancy Hanks. This area also highlights contemporary champions of the sport, including the accomplishments of Delvin Miller, the only athlete to compete in his sport over the course of 8 decades. Stroll through the history and traditions of the sport, accompanied by the familiar sounds of horses in the stable. Wandering through the old carriage room, you can see how the sulky continues to change. Lighter, faster, better. From high wheel to quick hitch, innovation is the key. The museum's founders, presidents, and early trustees are honored in the Founders Room, which was once the stable manager's office. Next is Today in Harness Racing. Watch recent top races from around the world and access the U.S. Trotting Association's website, ustrotting.com, for more information on the sport's current activities. The museum's European Connection and international exhibits bring the global sport of harness racing back to its grassroots in New York. The Roosevelt display case holds a small fraction of the memorabilia and artifacts recovered from Roosevelt Raceway prior to its final demolition. A larger display featuring Roosevelt Raceway is planned. Another planned display, which will be located in the children's area of the museum, is under development to showcase the delightful Jim Brooks Athen Colloidus Children's Collection. The more popular a sport is, the more it inspires works of art, and harness racing is no exception. The Courier Knives Gallery displays many of the museum's treasured trotting prints, scenes of early Americana captured by the company who called themselves printmakers to the people. The museum's collection includes the works by numerous great artists, including Salvador Dali, who was inspired by Courier knives to create a series of lithographs. Proceeding upstairs, we pass the tribute to the Standardbred and find ourselves among the treasures and glory of Casselton Farm, the source of many champions and one of sporting history's greatest breeding farms. Step through the past and into the present to compete against your family and friends in the exciting interactive auction game called Buy a Champion. Place your bids and experience the world of the Standardbred sales ring. Playtime at the Harness Racing Museum is for everyone. There is an area designed especially for children where they can chat with our talking horse Stormy and play the game Create a Horse. Yeah! Don't miss the chance to sit in an actual sulky. Put your feet up and grab the lines. By the way, this is also a great place to take a photo as proof you can really drive a horse. Harness racing in Hollywood. Sit down, relax, and enjoy the clips from many motion pictures that feature harness racing in the storyline. Guaranteed you will leave the theater smiling. Also, explore the history of photographer Edward Muybridge, whose work with Standardbreds led to the beginnings of motion film. The first mobile starting gate, an innovation that revolutionized the sport in the 20th century, has a fixed place of honor across from displays celebrating two of the most prestigious races on the sport's grand circuit, the Hambletonian and the Little Brown Jug. Get to know who makes it all happen at the racetrack. Meet the People gives you a chance to discover what the men and women behind the scenes do. Amateur Downs provides a glimpse at how you too can join the fun. Don't forget, this is a sport where everyone can participate, young and old, male and female, as owners, breeders, caretakers, and drivers. Watch the video and learn more about the sport where the Major League is open to all. And we're not finished yet. There are many more interactive exhibits for you to try. Learn all about judging a race, and when you're ready, judge a few on your own. You can also listen and learn as professional track announcers call a race. Then try it yourself. You can even record and play back your effort.
I Carl's Die Hard, down the stretch they come. Cam can scoot, Caesar spur. I Carl's Die Hard with a rush. Coming to the wire, Cam can scoot, Caesar spur on the outside, Caesar spur.
Pass by the Communicator's Corner, recognizing those who have helped promote the sport throughout the years, and you enter the Living Hall of Fame and Hall of Immortals. Marvel at the statuettes and all the little details that make them so lifelike. Each statue portrays the man, his personality and persona, in a way unequaled by any other Hall of Fame. Touchscreen computers in both the Hall of Fame and Hall of Immortal puts a photograph and biography of each inductee at your fingertips. William R. Houghton is fondly remembered with a recreation of his office. A video story of his life, his career, and his family will introduce you to Billy, a beloved harness racing hero. The Peter D. Houghton Memorial Library contains more than 8,000 books, newspapers, magazines, videos, sound recordings, and films. Experience all the thrills and chills of being in a race by taking a ride in the museum's harness racing 3D simulator, the only one of its kind. The Historic Clubhouse is a replica of the original room at neighboring Historic Track, a retreat where harness racing's future was planned and the United States Trotting Association was born. Step out onto the balcony and watch the horses as they jog and train, and identify the track's historic landmarks using the locator map. Be sure to visit the Winner's Circle gift shop, where you can find a large selection of quality merchandise including books, clothing, prints, jewelry, toys, and so much more, all promoting the great sport of harness racing. If you weren't a harness racing fan before you arrived, you'll find yourself falling for the sport before you leave. If you love harness racing, be sure to put a visit to the Harness Racing Museum and Hall of Fame on your bucket list. This is your museum. See you soon.